is 2 o'clock on the dot. So we might as well go ahead and get started. Real quick heads up, I have began recording the call for our friends who aren't able to join us today. But you guys, we are in for a treat today. We have Market Director Junior on the line to share with us how we can live the brand frame. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic off to you, Junior. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Mary. It's a rainy day here in Orange County. I'm in Irvine today. So definitely not seeing the sunshine, but it's a great day either way. So happy to be here with everyone today. All right, everybody. So, oh, sorry. We're going to jump in and get started. When Mary sent this over to me and asked me to present on this call, this is one of the ones that I really love talking about. I think our brand frame is excellent. I think it really encompasses a lot of who we are, and being an old school changer, and coming from a place where we lived our message. We're truly glad you're here, and we will do everything we can to make you want to come back. And that was embedded into us day in and day out. And, having come up with the brand frame a couple of years ago, I think it's a way to, we never really changed what our message is, but we kind of found a way to really incorporate it into kind of this framework and break it down into the little things that we do every day to feed into what that message is, because we've never changed our message and never lost what that was. And this brand frame is one of those things that I know we hear a lot about, and we talk about it at meetings, but I can't tell you, the number of times I walk into a restaurant and I'm speaking to team members, and, I make a reference to it, because kind of my style to our brand frame is, I incorporate it into everyday language, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later and as part of living in it. But, I'll be like, well, that's great. Every time, that's our brand frame that you're doing right there. And they kind of look at me with a little bit of this confused look, like, huh? What did I just do? They really don't understand it, and going as far as even knowing where it is in their restaurant, sometimes it becomes one of those things that are hidden. So I think the more we hear about this as leaders in the restaurant and managers, the more we can really talk about it and understand why this is important for what we do. It's something that we can talk outside of operations and outside of metrics and all those things that, those numbers we kind of get lost in labor and things like that, because it's truly the kind of like the why behind what we do every day and the what we behind what we do every day. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing I want to read is a quote to you from a book, Making Common Sense, Common Practice. And it's, if you think of vision and mission as an organization's head and heart, the values it holds are its soul. When I first read this, I had to read it again and again and again to really envision this, because I'm big about, visualizing what this word means into something that I can understand, and, I'll read it again. If you think of vision and mission as an organization's head and their heart, the values it holds are its soul. That's a powerful statement. That's something that speaks so true to our brand frame and who we are, because we do have our vision and our mission, and that's our head and our heart. But our soul is something that is intangible. It's something that we live and breathe every day. It's in us, And when you think of the correlation between head and heart and soul, it really paints that picture of why we have the brand frame in place and what our responsibility as leaders is to that. So when we think about actually living the brand frame, there's a lot in there, and, we want to think about internal dialogue and thinking, it's going to take a little bit of practice and some conscious effort, and conscious effort is part of that, statement that I just said that I think is most important. The conscious effort and just being aware and making sure that we are actively, doing our part daily and being aware of how our actions can actually impact the interpretation of the brand frame or what it looks like. But it's going to take that conscious effort and consciously saying, what can I do to to bring our brand frame to life today in the ship. It's a slow Monday, Tuesday. What's a fun activity or something I can do to kind of bring this brand frame to life? But that conscious effort and then the practice, the continuation of it, and just, having some failed attempts, having some people that are uninterested and, things like that. But until it becomes that second nature, we're going to have to learn how to use some internal dialogue and help determine the things that we should say and decisions that we should make or actions that we need to take to give to our guests and employees. And then once we become proficient at living that brand frame, you're going to realize instinctively you make the decisions that support the brand frame, and you no longer find it necessary to have those internal conversations. But some examples of some things and, the internal dialogue that we can use to help guide us through our shifts are, some of these things that are in front of us, and I'll go through each one of them. Making eye contact. How important is making eye contact? And, eye contact is one of those things that you can really say a lot with a look, and there's a lot of words behind what a look says to a team member, and making sure that we are looking them in the eye and making that eye contact and making it important so they understand, hey, I'm speaking with you. This is a direct conversation with you, but, I appreciate you enough that I'm actually going to look at you and I'm not going to talk to you in passing or look down as I'm talking to you. But making that genuine eye contact with a team member. And then listening to what the guest and team member is saying and respond sincerely. There's very robotic answers we can give, very transactional answers we can give, but listening to me is one of the most important parts of that second statement. Listen to what the guest and the team member is saying and then respond sincerely. A lot of times we're hearing what they're saying and they're talking and we're just waiting for them to finish so that we can now get our response in, because sometimes we think we know the answer or we know what they're going to say or we know what it is that they're looking from us. And, I know BLAST has nothing to do with this, but when I go over BLAST, listen is always one of the most important parts to me in that acronym. And I think right now, listen in this statement is one of the most important things that we can do for a team member, and actually take the time to hear what they're saying and then respond sincerely. A genuine response goes so much further than something robotic or corporate, that's not what they want to hear, and guests either. Never make excuses. There's going to be a lot of reasons why things are the way they are, and there's going to be a lot of reasoning we can share with team members and some partial reasoning that we keep to ourselves and share with team members and guests. But when we make excuses, they sound like excuses. An excuse and a reason are two different things. And the delivery on each is what's most important to help the guest or team member differentiate between the two. Because, when something just sounds like it's just a quick answer, we're brushing it off, we're just giving you something to pacify you, that can be interpreted as an excuse. When we actually take the time to stop and explain and give reasoning behind, and that delivery is more sincere and more genuine, it won't come off as an excuse. And it can literally be the same exact thing that you said, but how you say it and how we deliver it to our team members is so important. Am I speaking with genuine sincerity, or do my words sound rehearsed? No one wants to hear like they're being read a script. I back in the day when we used to have tons of telemarketers calling, and you pick up your phone and you hear that script right from the back. Hi, my name is so and so. Has anyone talked to you about extending your warranty on dollar? And it's like, oh, here we go. I'm hanging up the phone on you. You don't want to listen. They're about to give you the spiel that's recorded. You're done, from that point on. When we sound like that to our team members and to our guests, we're losing them. We lose them right at the beginning of that rehearsed script, because that genuine sincerity, that's just a part of human nature. We pick up on that. We read that. And of course, there may be times where your personal style may be, less, I don't know how to say that word. It comes across as maybe not as sympathetic just because you're a more serious person. But I think we can all find ways within our own personal styles to kind of pivot and move so that our words don't sound rehearsed, and just think of a time when someone spoke to you and they gave you an answer that you were like, really, is that all you have to say on this situation? Like, who wrote that for you? So think about what we're saying to our guests and our team members when we're talking to them, and try to be as genuine and sincere as possible. um, do my team members perceive my action as living the brand frame? Man, is that an important one to everyone on the phone? Everyone on this phone call today is a leader in some way, shape, or fashion, and you really have to ask yourself, do my team perceive what I do every single day in this restaurant when I walk in here and I work a 10 to 12-hour shift? Or all my actions are in line with that brand frame, and am I living that? Because it starts with you. It starts with us, the leaders in the restaurant, because we can't ask somebody to do things that are on the brand frame, from treating each other like family to making sure things are consistent. Those things all start with us. And what matters is, are we doing those things when no one's looking? Because a lot of the times we're living the brand frame in front of our market partners, our market directors, our SDOs, our regional learning and development leaders. We're living that brand frame every time they're in the restaurant. But when someone's not looking, that brand frame kind of gets turned around, and it's like, today I don't feel like being part of this brand frame. I'm having a personal issue outside of work, and this is who I'm going to be. The people that matter, that see those actions, are not the market partners and the market directors and SDOs and regional learning and development managers that are coming in. It's your team. It's the people that see that every single day. Because one, they're going to be able to differentiate between the dog and pony show that's going on, and which is, one, going to lose your credibility as a leader and manager to begin with, because they know you do only what you need to do. You only embrace that brand frame when people are coming to visit. And then two, there's no way you're going to get them to understand that brand frame. You've already lost their interest in the beginning. So making sure that the team members understand the brand frame is as important to me as I'm trying to make it to you. Talk about it during your check-in. This should be where your "Are you ready" cards, that brand frame should be there every single time. So when you reference something on that "Are you ready" card, you can correlate it to the brand frame. And, why is it that I ask, whose responsibility is it to sweep under tables before we seat a guest on the "Are you ready" card? Because in our brand frame, it says it's always clean. That adds to that. That's an action that helps support that part of our brand frame. So just really making sure that we understand that's important. So just make sure as leaders that our team perceives that we live the brand frame. Do my guests and team members feel they have undivided attention and that they are my one and only priority? That's another important one. And the reason why that is so important is because simply we want to make sure that these interactions with our team members aren't transactional, that these interactions with our team members aren't just something that we're doing in passing. Whenever a team member asks me, "Hey, do you have a minute?" I do my best every single time to stop what I'm doing. Or if I don't have a minute, I let them know what I'm doing in the next 15 minutes, which is why I don't have a minute then. But then I make sure I guarantee they know after 15 minutes, they're going to have my undivided attention. Don't be counting a drawer. Don't be doing all the other tasks that we can be doing. Give them that undivided attention, because that really says, hey, you're important. What you have to say right now is important. Nothing else in this world matters to me. My boss is texting me that my walk line's on fire. I'm taking a break to talk to you right now. That was a joke. If your walk line's on fire, go deal with your walk line. But, just making sure that they understand that they have the priority there. And then, do my actions and words represent to the guests and my team members how thankful I am and that they've chosen our restaurant? Everything that we say every day when we go in, we want to make sure that, we're celebrating the wins with our guests and our team members. I talk to our guests about the great things we're doing in our restaurant, especially our regulars. They love to hear that stuff. They're as much as part of our extended family as our team members are. And when we think about getting our team members to really stand behind the things that we're doing every day, the greed, the tact, the first class dining experience. Am I doing that? Are these things that I make important to myself every day? And then am I reminding them how thankful I am that they're a part of our restaurant, from employees to team members? Everybody has an option. Every time I sit down in an interview, it's so important for me to tell the team member, and especially when I'm interviewing managers, one of the things I always say is like, hey, this is a two-way interview. Not only am I interviewing you to see, are you a candidate that's in line with our standards and who we are as a company, but you're interviewing me. Am I the employer that you want to work for? Do our values align with you? So when you have that team member, thank them for choosing you, because they could have gone to another concept. They could have gone somewhere else. And it's important that both our guests and our team members know that every single day. So those are just some things that we can, just internal dialogue, things that we can do from within that really help bring our brand frame to life, and live conversations that we can have with our team members to make sure that we are living that brand frame daily. And just some ideas to give all of you some things that we can do to get that brand frame alive and talking and in action. So what does it look like living the brand frame in action and putting it in action? So there's a couple points. I did a presentation a while ago on our brand frame. I don't know if it was on a soft skills call or it was an MIT call. It was something, but what I did is I kind of went around and I correlated how each of these areas of our brand frame correlate to the employee experience. Because a lot of times we think about this from our guest experience, and how can we contribute to the guest? But it's both. This is our guests. This is our team members. This is everything. So I want to go through each really quickly and just kind of talk about all of them. And give you a little bit of insight in some things that we can be doing and what we can do to make sure that we're living all these elements for our guests and our team members. So when I think of it beyond craveable, I actually wrote the definition of craveable, and I'll read it to you. Craveable is defined as a product with qualities that engender an intense desire for more. That's a powerful definition. It engenders an intense desire for more. So think about that from an employee and a guest perspective. How is it every day that everything that we do from the moment we walk into our doors, so we leave that day, can we make sure that this is a place that our team members have an intense desire to return to tomorrow, and our guests have an intense desire to return to tomorrow, the next day, or any other day after that? We have to make sure we're beyond craveable. I think of my personal cravings, and there's times where it's like, man, I really want this, and it's something I can't get out of my head until I feel that craving. Just imagine if an employment experience was like that every day, and our team members are that excited about coming into work. Not to mention our guests. When our goal is to increase traffic, having craveable items, that gets people coming back over and over and over again. But when we're not following recipes consistently, and when we're not taking the care and the concern, when we're not stopping and having those internal dialogues that we just spoke about a minute ago with our team members, we kind of miss the mark on some of those things, and we become less than craveable. We become an option, and we don't want to be an option. We want to be at the top of the list and always be craveable from an employment and a guest standpoint. It's always clean. We all want to work for a place that's clean and well maintained. We got to look at our daily processes and say, do we have something in place to ensure that there's daily routines for cleanliness? Have we, as leaders, updated daily and weekly cleaning duties? Me as a guest, whenever I go into a restroom of a restaurant, it does impact me. And I'm in the industry, so there's a lot of me that's understanding. And there's actually times where I walk into restrooms and I start cleaning it myself. If I see paper towels or a sink that needs to get wiped down, it's one of those things that are innate in me. But it also tells me, that there's a lack of something here, And then, although I am in the industry and I know that there are sporadic opportunities, I start to think, what does the kitchen look like? Why does the dry storage look like? What could their cooler walk look like if this is the area that we're all sharing and there's missing paper towels or water on the floor, things like that? Will other things in this operation fall to the wayside that could potentially affect me and my dining experience? And the answer most likely is yes. And that's just from the restroom perspective. When we see guests and under tables. And from a team member's perspective, when a team member walks into an environment that's always cluttered, always unkept, tables unbussed, it's chaotic. It begins to trigger you. You don't want to work in an environment like that. That's an environment of non-caring. So I just contribute to the non-caring environment because this is the way it's presented to me. So making sure cleanliness is top of mind is very important. Every day, every time, speak to consistency. Are we managing the message to our team members consistently? Are all managers talking about the same things and managing the same expectations to produce the same results? Does your team know what's expected of them? And are they allowed to succeed? We are a corporation, although the experience in our restaurants are going to be slightly different from location to location. That's one thing that I love about PF Chang's is that we all do inject a little bit of ourselves into our locations, but we are a corporation. There is an expectation for consistency in certain items, recipe items, especially, steps of service, celebrations, things like that. And are all the managers on the same page? Do we understand that we can't miss one sparkler on a celebration because that one sparkler on a celebration may negate that guest from coming back? And then that's going to spread from there. Oh, don't go to PF Chang's. They'll probably be out of sparklers again today. And it becomes a thing, but the consistency, the every day, every time, and then how that translates to our team members is the environment that we provide for them. Do they know what to expect when they come in? Do they know how we contribute to helping them succeed in their role? Are they aware of those things that we're responsible to provide for them every day and every single time? And are we as managers doing that? Or do we pick and choose these things when it's convenient for us? I had a call out today, so no family meal, we're not going to do Are You Ready cards today because I have an email a report that I need in 2 hours. Those are the types of things that really make or break our business, because the lack of consistency, the lack of follow through just gives mixed messages. And if we begin to let our team feel like we can pick and choose when things are important, then they pick and choose when things are important. So being consistent and every day and every time is very important. They make me feel like family. I think each and every one of us on this call can talk about this and have, examples, but this is one of our most celebrated aspects of our brand frame. Our team members love to feel like they're part of a team and a family. What do we do to challenge ourselves and our teams to make this top of mind every day? Are we fostering an environment of teamwork and team building? Do we show empathy and concern when team members bring personal issues to our attention? Are we encouraging team members when possible? And I put a challenge out to everyone to create a culture of family within your teams, which I honestly think we do. I've been to quite a few bistros on the East and West Coast, in PF Chang's. And the one thing I can say is, sometimes, as chaotic as it may be and as dysfunctional as that may be, for the most part, everyone is family, and we do treat each other like family. But does every team member feel like that? Because I can guarantee you in some of our restaurants, we probably have about 70% of our restaurant team members that really understand and feel like family. But there's probably a good 20 to 30%. And, those are just numbers that I'm guessing off the top of my head. But there are people out there that don't feel like family. And those are the ones that we have to stop and internally look within and say, what can I do to make something all inclusive? What can I do to make sure that there's this feeling for everybody and not just the ones that are more vocal or a part of it? How do I bring the person that eats family meal every day by themselves into this family? And there's a lot of people that we have that work for us that are introverts or a little bit shy. But again, us as the leaders, when we have a family member that we see sitting alone, or we have a family member that always takes their breaks by themselves or separates themselves, I would go up to my family, my cousin, my sister, any of my family members, and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Why aren't you sitting down eating with us?" And sometimes it's just, they want to have their own thing, and that's fine. We'll respect that. But the care and concern, what we show to them really, really goes a long way. And then, again, understanding that there's a world outside that our team members live that are not a part of our four walls, and being sympathetic to that. And although there may be some situations that are like very outlandish sometimes. We have no idea what's going on in anyone's life outside of work. And it's important for us to always remember that. So listening, trying to be non-judgmental and just open to being a leader that they know they can talk to and approach when these things come up really go a long way. And then the last two, there's an exciting vibe. You know, our vibe is the atmosphere of the place. It's communicated to and it's felt by everyone. It's the single most important element of our brand frame because it alludes to our culture and it ties into every aspect of the frame. When the vibe is right, everything else falls into place because everyone understands who we are every day. We're the leaders of our vibe and we set the tone of our vibe when we want to encourage that vibe to continue daily. Your team members are come to work excited, ready to work every day. And when they arrive, they're encouraging a vibe of success, teamwork, engagement, feedback, all that. That's the vibe that we want when we conduct ourselves daily. The vibe is who we are. To me, vibe is culture. You know, it's like the culture of our restaurant is this is who we are. This is what we do. You know, we're a winning team. We come in and we sell desserts because we want to be the top dessert percentage. We come in and we sell drinks because we want to be on top of BIPC. You know, all these things just fall into line when that vibe is there. And then for the guests, you know, I always think back to my first PF Chang's experience when I walked into the PF Chang's in North Miami Beach and the lights were dimmed perfectly. The music was playing something very trendy, but not too loud, just the right vibe. All the hosts were in red and black, four of them standing at that host stand, statuesque, commanded a presence, called me over as soon as I opened that host stand. It was just that initial experience to this day is what made me want to be a part of that brand because from the moment the doors opened at PF Chang's in North Miami Beach, the first time I entered in there, I was wowed. Within 30 seconds of walking from that front door to that host stand, that vibe was so right and it was so perfect. I knew I had to be a part of this concept. I knew I had to work for them and I needed to figure out who they were and what they were doing. And here I am today, but that vibe is felt by so many team members and guests, you know, and they determine if this is a place they're going to return to or even dine in within those 30 seconds. So just making sure we understand how important that vibe is and it contributes to the ultimate culture. And then lastly, makes me want to come back. It's been our message from the beginning to our guests. But how are we embodying this daily and translating this to our team members? Is every team member that leads the restaurant every single day, are they excited to come back and knowing what we're doing to make that important? Are your team members leaving work and looking for another job? Or are they helping you to recruit other team members because they're so excited to return daily and want others to feel the same? It's so important to make sure that this is how our business runs and that we champion retention in all of our restaurants and making sure that team members want to come back, you know, everything in that brand frame, you know, feeds into that, you know, and it's our guests also. Our guests are going to want to come back if our team members want to come back. I have so many lunchtime guests that come in and ask for specific servers. And I have guests that call in the morning time and say, is this bartender working? You know, connections have been made. The vibes have been shared. You know, the making me want to come back feeling is just culture. And we want to make sure I'll see you next time, or I can't wait to hear about how that job interview went. You know, it's like people look forward to this. And, you know, it goes back to the way back in the day, the whole Cheers, when we had Cheers as a show, for those of you that remember, you know, everybody wants to, you know, go to a place where they know their name. And that still speaks true to this day. And that's that making me want to come back part. So as we flip over to the next slide, we want to stop and we want to think to ourselves, what are we doing every day to live this brand frame and make sure that we're putting it into action? So I want you all to stop and just take a minute and, you know, think to yourself how you're contributing to these areas, you know, this week, and it's only Monday. So, you know, I think that's great because as we begin this call, if you haven't done this, if you didn't do this last week, put this up on your communication board for your managers. Put this up on the office window of your door and just think about it. And at your next manager meeting, have some homework. I want you all to share with me some of these things, you know, but This week I created an exciting vibe by what did you do in your restaurant to create an exciting vibe? And it doesn't have to be anything grandiose. It doesn't have to be anything, huge. You don't have to walk in and start handing out dollar bills, It's just what did you do in your restaurant to come in and create an exciting vibe? One thing for me is I'm big about coming in saying hello to as many people as possible. I ask them how they've been. Are they ready to have a great day? I say stuff like, ready to make some money today? It's going to be a great day. It's, what are we doing? Are we walking around engaging with our team members and creating that vibe? Or do we just walk in, get to the office, start working, and walk away? This week, I did what I should every day, every time. That's speaking to that consistency part. Did I follow through with my commitments and making sure that I'm consistent with my actions? What's something that you possibly didn't do this week that you should have done because it's a consistent function? Be realistic with yourself. Ask yourself these questions. It's really going to bring out your overall contribution to what our brand frame is. This week, I made sure my team members feel like family by. That's one that I would even put in on your communication boards every week. I would want managers every single day filling that out and just listing, what did I do today to make my members feel like family? And I don't want to hear family meal every single day. Family meal is fantastic. I love family meal. We're really working on it in our market. I think it's an amazing thing, but there's so many other things we can do to make team members feel like family. I think one of those things during that week can be family meal, but what else are we doing? How are we getting creative, and doing things like celebrating birthdays, celebrating anniversaries, stuff like that. Even accomplishments of graduating college, getting the internship. Yeah, you put in a 2-week notice with us, but they put in a 2-week notice because they got accepted to an internship within the nursing program they've been studying for the last 3 years they've been working for. I want to celebrate that, even though you're leaving. I mean, you've achieved your goal, and I helped you get there by giving you employment. You're part of my family, and you're going away, and I want to make this a big thing because we're proud of you. This isn't your career, and although you're leaving us, you're moving on to do better things. So let's start thinking of more ways other than a family meal to get creative with making our team members feel like family. And then lastly, this week I did everything I could to make sure my guests and team members would want to come back. Ask yourself that, did I have a bad day this week that I kind of went on a rant and a rave and I kind of said the wrong things at the wrong time that some people were like, oh, Junior's in a bad mood today, or stay away from Junior. He's having one of those days, Is this the kind of mentality that goes around? It's natural. We're humans, we're not perfect, but are we aware of that? Are we aware of that and then trying to fix it in a way that we can make sure that every day we are doing the things in line that make our team members want to come back and work for us, and work for our concept and do the things that we're asking for, not just come in and clock in and process and leave, but come in and actually enjoy the team that they're a part of and the goals that are set in front of them. So when it comes to words, often less is more. And I think sometimes I think this is something I can read to myself because I'm a talker. And sometimes I can really go into detailed conversations. And, I can tell you did a good job for about 30 minutes in so many different ways, But I think sometimes, when we think about how we're living the brand frame and communicating it to our team members, some words that are less can be very impactful. So 5 most important words, you did a great job. Like whenever my team members leave for the day, it's a great job. I tell as many of them, not every of them, not all of them. If there is somebody that had opportunity and there was some coaching, it's more like, hey, good job today, but let's work on those things that we spoke about at the end. I really want to challenge you on next shift to avoid some of that stuff, and let's see the improvement we get, but those team members that maybe you're one busser and we projected $10,000 and we had a $15,000 day and you were still one busser that I didn't have to, run and help and bus tables and you were on top of bus tubs. Like you did a great job and you should know that. You should know that without you here today, I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I achieved to end this day. So make those 5 those five most important words important every single day to you and your team members. The four most important words. What do you think? Stop once in a while and just really ask your team members, hey, what do you think about our new cocktails? What do you think about Oshibori setup over here? What do you think about us placing soup spoons in this area? What do you think about working here? Some of the new people we've hired recently, talk to your team. A team is a collective dynamic. It's a group of people working towards a goal to achieve one set goal. So although we have different roles on our team, whether it be server, busser, dishwasher, you are still part of a team. So your opinion, what you think, ultimately impacts what we do here every day and how we can get better at some of the things we're not so great at. So what do you think? Are we asking that to our team members enough? And I could challenge some of you to go out there and ask yourself, do I say those four words often enough? And I think we would say, no in some situations. And many of us could say yes, but I think there's opportunity there. Three of the most important words. I was wrong. Don't be afraid to own your mistakes. None of us are perfect. And I think what that can do for your credibility is just astronomical. When you own up to being wrong, and I have a team of strong managers in San Diego, and a lot of times I love that they challenge me and they'll show me like, hey, I know you're saying this and I know you're saying that, but this is what I found. This is what it should be. And I really think you should look at both of these and let's try to figure it out. I have no problem saying, you know what, you are absolutely right. I had no idea what I was talking about. I was wrong about that. We laugh it off, and then sometimes now they'll even double and triple check some of my things just to make sure. But I love that. I love that because I've made it into a thing where they know if I'm wrong, I'm okay with being wrong. And I like when they challenge me. I want them to point out when there's something that could be done differently or right. So making sure that you own that, I think that can go really far with your team members and your guests. When we tell a guest, one of my favorite things to say to a guest, is like, hey, I am so sorry. We have some challenges today that we're encountering as the day continues. And unfortunately, you're one of the tables that suffered from those challenges. And I'm so sorry about that. But I really want to try to make it up to you. It's that genuine ownership, because every time I take that approach, you get that grumpy, like, yeah, you really messed up. But they soften up a little bit. It's like, all right, the guy's told me he made some mistakes. It's not right. He's owning it. So make sure that we say those three words more often. Two most important words. Thank you. Thank you for coming in today. Thank you for being on time. Thank you for ordering your food through takeout like I've been asking you to. Thank you for paying for your food when you order it. Thank you for full hands out. The one thing I say thank you to every single time to this day, years and years and years, is when I see a team member walking down the server alley and they stop and they pick up a straw wrapper or pick up a piece of trash. Man, I literally stop them, follow them to the dish rooms anywhere and say, hey, thank you for stopping and picking that up. Because how many times do we walk through our kitchens and our team members just walk back past debris and trash on the floor? So my point is making sure that we're saying thank you to encourage those really positive behaviors, because those thank yous are going to go a long way than pointing out that, hey, why didn't you pick that up? Come back here and pick that up off the floor. That's not going to get the results we want. That's not going to get the actions we want from our team members. But I guarantee that thank yous for doing those things, those really will go a long way, and a lot more important than I think that we think day to day. And then the single most important word that we can say at everything that we do as a team is we. And that goes back to being a team. We're a team. We're a collective unit of different roles, different experiences in our industry, different ideas, different sets of personal values, different sets of so many things. But when we clock in and we're here at PF Chang, we're a we. It's not about Junior. It's not about Scott. It's not about Delaney. It's not about Edgar. It's about us. It's about our team and who we are collectively that day, how we operate as one, not as how we operate as an individual. Because if we're all just walking in and operating as individuals and as I's, we're never going to achieve the goals we want to achieve. So just really making your team understand that the moment we come together, we're we, and every single action that each and every one of us does, it's going to affect us as a whole. So making sure your team really understands that we, and that's up to us as the leaders of the restaurant to make sure we embody that every single day by talking to our team members and using this verbiage and these phrases more often. So just to give a brief recap overall, we talked about a lot of stuff today. But a lot of stuff that I think we all know in our restaurants, and some of us that have been with the company for a long time, for years, when, we spoke about the message and we recited it every single day and we saw it, it's still there, those brand frame components, all that stuff, that's all on your POS terminals, and letting your team members know where those things are and referencing it and talking about it. But most importantly, is us as the leaders, the people on this call today, really embodying it and bringing it to life every single day without putting it in their face, without saying, hey, this is the brand frame I'm talking about. The brand frame is something that happens organically, and then you just show them how their actions are attributed to the brand frame and how they contribute to that every single day, making it a part of your manager meetings for OPs on the phone, just really challenging your managers, maybe coming up with some fun brand frame activities, pin the tail on the brand frame, something that you can do where you pick a component on there, and if you pick that component, and it's your job to champion that for the whole week or something like that, but there's really a lot of fun things that we can do out there to really embrace this brand frame. And I'm passionate about it because I think it's something great that's put in place for us to really help manage our teams and really create that ultimate family vibe. So what I want everyone to walk away from with this is, making a promise to yourself and, making a promise to us, to the we behind it all, and this week you should say to yourself, I will practice living the brand frame by genuinely finding ways to connect with each guest that chooses to dine in our restaurant. I will consciously go out of my way to accommodate guest requests, and I will take time to acknowledge and praise each team member I see demonstrating that they are living the brand frame. I would print that. I would make that part of your shift cards that your manager should be walking around right now with all the in and out times, because I know we have all have shift cards with our labor goals and in and out times. But add that little quote on there, put it up on your communication board for all of us to remember, what are we doing to live that brand frame, and acknowledging and praising our team members, and what are you seeing from them that help to demonstrate that. So that's all that I have for you. Something I'm super passionate about. I'm happy to talk with anyone offline about your brand frame. I'm happy to do any presentations or help any of you with your teams that really struggle with understanding what it is or how to make it important. So always feel free to reach out to me. But I do want to open it up for any questions or, takeaways or comments or anything anyone has. And, don't feel forced, but if you would like to, please feel free to chime in.
Hey, Junior, it's Scott. How are you today?
Hey, Scott, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. Even though you're the OPMD here in San Diego, I had quite a few things to take away from your presentation. I like to think that we have a pretty good culture here when it comes to the brand frame, but in listening to you, I can still see opportunities for us here at our location and for myself to make the brand frame more forward in our thinking process, because I believe, just like you, that it's important to have a right culture, and I can't help but think about when Art came in, and and Jill and Mary and some of our other visitors. There's a reason why they come into our location, because it just feels right. It just feels like a PF Chang's. And I think back to the tenure and the retention that we have and the culture that we have. It feels like we're doing all the right things, but there's still opportunities to make it forward and living the brand frame and making it beyond craveable, and making it is it clean, and all those other things that you talk about and spoke about today. And I believe you're 100% right. If a management team is fully engaged and fully live the message, it just makes for a better work environment for the overall restaurant, which makes it easier for us, and it makes it easier for our team members and for our guests to have a great time. So I appreciate your time today and your insight as I was coming into work today.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you're 100% right on. It's like you said, we do a lot of things, but sometimes being able to stop and say, there is something that I could do differently. And there are still some room for opportunity here to make this alive amongst our team and each other. So I love that. And I love you that you were able to share some takeaways. So thank you, Scott. Anyone else? All right, team. Well, then I think that is it. I've taken 45 minutes of your time today. I appreciate you all listening to me. And again, something I'm really passionate about. And, feel free to reach out to me by email anytime if you guys want to talk about some brand frames or anything else. Thanks for having me today, Mary.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Junior, for taking us through the brand frame. Definitely a culture warrior, if I've ever seen one. So thank you for your time today. Thank you, everyone, for part of your Monday afternoon. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye, Mary.